Pleasant day to everyone. Millions of people throughout the world live in a condition of abject deprivation and attacks against their fundamental human rights for no other reason than they are women. Studies shows that 6 out of 10 women are being abused by their partners, and on average, women experience 35 incidents of domestic violence before seeking for treatment. Domestic violence happens in all cultures, religions, sexes, and races. Let us now define what domestic violence is. Domestic violence, spousal abuse, battering, or wife battering occurs when a family member, partner, or ex-partner attempts to physically or psychologically dominate another. It often refers to violence between spouses, but it can also include non-married intimate partners. According to Office on Violence Against Women, or OVW in US, domestic violence is a pattern of abusive behavior in any relationship that is used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another. Beijing Platform for Action defines it as any act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, psychological harm, or suffering to women. It includes such as acts and arbitrary deprivation of liberty. According to a book entitled Women Resisting Violence, written by Sister Mananza, domestic violence is a brutal condition of women with their partners. And according to Senior Superintendent Yolanda Tanige, Head of Philippine National Police, Women and Children's Desk, battering does not necessarily mean to hit physically. There are many ways women are being battered. Some of these are isolation. Isolation is when the abuser prevents the victim to socialize or to communicate with other people. It is somehow cutting the relationship between the world and the victim. Next is economic abuse. Economic abuse is when the abuser has a complete control over the victim's money and economic resources. It also involves putting the victim to a strict allowance, forcing the victim to beg for money until the abuser gives some, and preventing her to finish education or to obtain employment. Next one is physical abuse. Physical abuse is the most common form of abuse. It is an intentional use of force with the potential for causing of injury, harm, disability, and even death. There are two kinds of physical abuse, the direct and indirect physical abuse. Direct physical abuse is ranging from physical contact to rape or murder, while indirect physical abuse includes destruction, striking, or throwing of objects near the victim. Next form of abuse is sexual abuse. This is where physical force is being used to compel or force a person to engage in a sexual act against her will, whether or not the act is completed. It is an attempt or completed sex act involving a person who does not understand the nature of the act. Lastly, psychological abuse. It includes humiliating the victim publicly or privately, making the victim feel isolated, humiliated, embarrassed, insignificant, or worthless. Women experience domestic violence, suffers from great depression, which put them at high risk of suicide, eating disorder, alcohol, or drug abuse. Battered women shy away from their family and friends. Domestic violence is not fiction, but a fact that happens all over the globe. But these battered women still stay with their abuser. Research states 3 factors why these battered women still stay with their abusers. First is the situational factors, which includes economic dependence, fear of negative response, lack of alternative housing, and lack of understanding from family and friends. Second is the emotional factors, which includes loyalty to the partner, wanting to help, denial of the situation, endless love, feeling of guilt that if she leaves, her partner might be more miserable, and unfounded optimism that someday the abuser might change. Last is the personal belief that no matter what, family should stay together, and fear that the children might grow in a broken family. In homes where domestic violence happens, children are very much affected. Children witnessing this kind of scenario leaves them with emotional effects such very similar to psychological traumas. These children may also have psychological disorders such as cognitive problems and delays in development. Hearing their parents quarrel, seeing their mom being beaten up by their dad, makes them think that this is a normal scenario. Boys who grew up with this kind of environment may be soon abuser too, while girls who grew up with this may be afraid to go out or be attached with opposite sex or even same sex. They may even isolate themselves. And worse, they may tolerate the abuse. To all women, are we gonna wait to be beaten up or abused 35 times before you realize that you are a battered woman?